I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like. Let's start with this story here. So as some of you may know, I am part of an academic collective, an international academic collective, the Organization for Propaganda Studies. And one of our colleagues has been in a protracted struggle over his criticism of Israeli policy propaganda, and as a result was just recently finally terminated from his professorship. So it was reported here in the Electronic Intifada. Professor David Miller was fired after Israeli lobby smear campaign. Now, the story is very interesting for a number of reasons. Now, so first of all, for our purposes or my purposes here, I am not, we are colleagues, at least as part of the OPS is concerned, as far as the OPS is concerned. But, you know, I don't pretend to know Professor Miller well. I don't pretend to be an expert in his work, and I'm certainly not an expert in this field or area of analysis. But as I keep saying, or study, but as I keep saying, broadly speaking, I'm opposed to all forms of censorship, academic or otherwise, and think that up to a certain point, which obviously bleeds over into, pun intended, free speech law. So obviously, as long as you're not advocating, then certain acts of violence or inspiring or encouraging it, you should be able to do your research. And particularly if you're publishing in peer-reviewed journals and conferencing and whatever else is expected in the academic world, then that should be that. And let people disagree with the work and demonstrate where it's wrong. But for our purposes here, it really doesn't matter where any of us fall on the issue of academic freedom, on the issue of Israel's occupation of Palestine, of anything. It doesn't matter, because for me, what is of most interest in this story, as we'll see here in just a second, comes after, first of all, the University of Bristol has fired David Miller, a leading United Kingdom critic of Israel and its lobby. After a years-long campaign of smears by that same lobby, the university said on Friday that Professor David Miller is no longer employed by the University of Bristol. The statement said only that Miller did not meet the standards of behavior we expect from our staff, though it did not elaborate. Miller told Electronic Intifada he would be appealing and fighting it all the way. Yet the statement appeared to exonerate, and this is what I'm getting at, or what I'm thinking is most telling here. Yet the statement appeared to exonerate Miller from the Israeli lobby's deliberately false allegations of anti-Semitism. An independent report by an unnamed lawyer had found that Professor Miller's comments did not constitute unlawful speech, the statement acknowledged. So the statement that's firing him is acknowledging that an independent audit, so to speak, of Professor Miller's work did not constitute unlawful speech. Miller said the report had actually gone further and that the lawyer's report had, quote, explicitly determined his remarks were not anti-Semitic. The Support David Miller campaign, which has been rallying around the professor, responded that the university was sending a message that it will protect racists and that Muslims, Black students, and Palestinians are not welcomed at Bristol. In a statement sent to the Electronic Intifada, the campaign said the university's decision was designed to send a chill down the spines of academics around the world who expose Zionist racism. So I just want to read this. I don't think I hit the emphasis right on this. The Support David Miller campaign, which has been rallying around the professor, responded that the university was sending a message that it will protect racists and that Muslims, Black students, and Palestinians are not welcomed at Bristol. So, right, exactly. The campaign said that Miller's sacking had come after a pressure campaign by Israel's assets in the UK and accused the university of collaborating with the Israel lobby. For his part, Miller said that the decision to fire him was taken under pressure from the Israel lobby, which he said lobbies for a hostile foreign state. Which lobbies for a hostile foreign state. The university has embarrassed itself. So, I mean, that's it. I mean, that was really it. That speaks for itself. The entire story is just that the statement acknowledges that his work was not anti-Semitic. So the claims of anti-Semitism are therefore unjust and invalid and inappropriate, but yet used to fire him for some undisclosed or undefined behavior. As I think we'll see when we talk with Dr. Hollis's attorney in the next hour, this is a theme that is consistent with institutions, universities that want to punish faculty for engaging in intellectual or political work it doesn't find soothing. And as I mentioned the other day, despite the claims of prominently placed faculty, like historically speaking, and still people like David Horowitz, who talk about their conversion from 60s radicalism into a very conservative, pro-Israel lobby, pro-Zionist, pro-conservative, blah, blah, blah position. Contrary to their claim, these institutions, academia that is specifically, are not these liberal bastions of revolutionary activity. There is this attempt to cloak themselves in wokeness, which is why, as we've discussed earlier, the stories have come out recently that white men, particularly of lower income backgrounds, are decreasing in numbers as far as attending universities. And part of the explanation was given was that they feel like too much is being done to accommodate everybody but white men, and therefore they no longer feel comfortable and are leaving in serious percentages universities. But the reality of these institutions politically is that they are very much wedded to the most right-wing lobbies, private equity interests, military interests, state interests, broadly speaking, and do not tolerate, are not bastions of some radicalism that is turning the country red, or red, black, and green. That's not happening on these campuses in this country or elsewhere. And this is just yet another example of that. And I do think it's of note. It's worthy to note, at least, that this is, as far as I know, again, I don't know Professor Miller that well, but a white male is targeted just as much as anybody else might be if you fall into a certain political category, or are targeted as being in a certain political category. So anyway, I just wanted to know. So I will share a link in the show description when this clip goes up. If anybody wants to sign a petition or learn more about this issue or Professor Miller's work, we can follow up with that. And perhaps at some point he'll join us here even. I will say I haven't gotten far on it, but he did put me on he did put me onto something last year, a course of study, that a little research project um, that would be fascinating to engage in more deeply. And for those of us whose careers are already into certain margins, that it might be possible, because it's not going to help but if it's published publicly. But anyway, solidarity with Professor Miller, and certainly want to continue to follow that story. So
I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like. I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like.